Hey guys, welcome back to the sweet spot. I'm so excited to be here. I think am I going to start every show that way for the first few weeks or first few months probably. But I really am. I'm just so excited to share some of these messages and really share what's on my heart and bring you along on my journey and the journey that I'm in with so many of the incredible humans that I get to serve through my coaching business. And obviously that delivers us lots of topics and things to talk about. But today we're going to kind of go back to the basics. So if you've been following along, you probably have heard a version of this story before, but around 7 years ago, I hit this point. I was about 35 years old, and I hit this point in my life that I had checked all of the boxes. And I had actually executed the plan, right, of bringing my checklist to life of what I wanted to accomplish as an adult. I had an incredible husband and 2 beautiful children and a beautiful home and a couple of businesses and a career that had gotten me to that place. And I woke up and honestly, even an incredible support system, and I was seemingly in good health. So from the outside in, things seemed really freaking good. And I woke up feeling really, really disconnected. And, I joke that it was my mid-ish life crisis. And what it really was, though, is this incredible awakening, because I hit this point of something's got to give. And so I started on this path of self-discovery and really getting to know myself again and figuring out what I actually wanted. And a long story brought me to a point of knowing that I wanted to serve other people with this work. And I was really adamant that I was going to stay in the life coaching space at that point, because I had been doing entrepreneurship and I was in corporate for so long, but it was corporate entrepreneurship also, it was franchising. And so I was dealing with a lot of business owners back then. And so I was really adamant that when I started my coaching business, it was going to be a life coaching business. And I'm like, what am I going to hang my hat on? What's my message going to be? And so I started to reflect, and this was about 5 years ago now. So a couple of years into my journey and my personal growth journey. And I started to reflect on what was the message? What did I want to shout from the rooftops and the mountaintops? And it dropped in so loud and clear. It was 2 words, and it was choose you. And at first I was like, oh, that's cute. Yes, of course. I want them to choose themselves. And it was no. This is so much deeper than that. And what it helped me to realize was that the journey that I had been on in those 2 years was a path back to me. It was the first time in my life that I had consciously chosen myself. And so it became this really, really, really deep and important and meaningful message that if you want to find the inner peace and the freedom and the alignment and the ease that I think we're all craving, it is going to require you to choose you. And this is really hard for some of us. It was really, really hard for me. I am an Enneagram 2. I am a recovering people pleaser. My ego loves it when I am pouring out and serving others, and it does not love it when I am receiving. And so while I had done all of this work to figure out, who I was and what mattered to me and what I wanted and where I wanted to go in my life and what I wanted to start this business, I'm like, this message is hard for me to shout from the rooftops, because so much of the love and validation and, care that I had received my entire life because of who I am was from the fact that I was so selfless. And the reality is I had also built my entire life checking all of those boxes, building it from the outside in. I was looking outside of myself for the answers. And I was looking at how many people were smiling back at me yes, you're getting it right, keep going. And so even though I had gone on my own path of of learning how to choose myself. I knew I was going to have to take it to a whole new level if this was going to be the message that I was going to shout from the mountaintops and then help other people with. And it has been the most incredible, most powerful thing that I've ever listened to. And if you're listening to this and you're like, that's really cute, and I'm so glad that you were able to choose yourself, but how could I possibly? Right? I know. You're wearing so many hats. You are serving so many people. And we've been taught for so long that it's best if we're serving, if we're putting other people first. We've been validated for that. We've been loved for that. We've been celebrated for that. And I would say especially as women, right? We're the caretakers. We're the ones that crave certainty, which means we're looking around and making sure that everyone else is okay. And so what happens if I start to choose me? What happens if I start to put myself at the top of my priority list? And trust me, I had the same thoughts and the same resistance and the same fear. But what I learned really, really quickly was that in order to show up for the people and the things that mattered most to me in a way that felt really, really good to me, I had to learn how to show up for me. In order to genuinely serve and care for and love on the people around me, I needed to learn how to love and care for me. And so I tried this on in a really tangible way. I'm like, for the next few months, I'm going to put myself first because this message is so freaking loud and clear and it was undeniable, right? So I had peeled back the initial layers of like, okay, it's fun getting to know you. I was getting to know myself and starting to pay a little bit more attention to what I think I wanted. But when this message dropped in, that meant it was my turn to try it on. It was my job. It was my responsibility to go first. And so I did. I started really noticing what I needed and wanted. And I started taking really, really good care of myself. And I'm not just talking about, some extra bubble baths and maybe some solo runs to Target, right? I see you, mamas. I see how we qualify me time. Even though at Target you're picking up things for your kids, I see you, right? I'm talking like real nourishment. I'm talking about choosing you in a way that cares for all parts of you. I'm talking about putting yourself first, even when it feels uncomfortable. And here's what I know now, after many, many years of practicing this. Is choosing me as the most selfless thing I ever did. Deciding that I get to be the first thing on my priority list is the most selfless thing I ever chose. Because now everything and everyone that I care so much about, they get this version of me. They get the version of me who did the work. And I promise you, in order to do the work, to do the deep inner work that you're going to hear me talk about over and over and over, and that I serve up with my clients and that I encourage so many of you to do, you have to learn how to let that take a front seat. You have to learn how to ask for help so that you have the time and space to actually be with yourself and what is true for you. And of course, I had so many fears. What if people stop loving me? What if this doesn't work for my husband or for my kids? What if I can't be who I need to be for everybody else if I start putting myself first? But what's happened instead is I am the best version of me for all of them. I am the most nourished, most well cared for version of me that has ever existed. I take lots and lots and lots of time for myself. And I'm not saying that you need to go and build a 90-minute morning routine like I have now. I didn't start with that either. But what I am saying is that if you can get on board with the fact that this might be what's best for everybody else, and just get curious around what it might look like to start putting yourself first and who you might show up as if you give yourself the opportunity to do that, I think you're going to be really, really pleasantly surprised at what happens when you get into the rhythm of that. At what happens when you start getting quiet enough to listen to that inner voice. You know, I always say that the most important relationship that you have in your life is the one that you have with you, because ultimately it shapes every relationship that you have outside of you. How you feel about you defines how you feel about others. And on the surface, I don't think that we see this, but once you start doing the work and realizing that the more you love yourself, the more you fill yourself up with all that goodness, the more you're able to give. Right? You hear the things all the time, like put your mask on first and you can't pour from an empty cup. I'm going to call bullshit on that second one because I poured from an empty cup for a long freaking time. So we can. But that is absolutely not what's best for you. And it certainly isn't what's best for the ones that you love. What would it look like to fill your cup first? What would it look like to choose you so that you can choose them in a way that feels really, really good? Because when we're giving from a place of depletion, that's what they get, is that version of us. When we're giving from a place of depletion, do you know what's typically right underneath that? Resentment. But when we are cared for and we are nourished and we have been doing what we need to do to care for our minds and our bodies and our hearts and our souls and our spirit, that's who we are as we walk into our life. That's how we show up for the people and things that matter most to us. It changes everything. So at first glance, maybe choosing you looks and feels selfish. But what if you flip that on its head? And what if you just find small ways throughout your days to start showing up for you? Right? Like if you follow me on social media, you know I spend a lot of time choosing me. I dedicate a lot of space to that because I've seen now after 6 years of practicing this, how it has impacted my life and every container of my life in the most beautiful ways. But I'm not asking you to jump into the place that I am after 6 years. What I'm asking is like, what if you gave yourself a few minutes in the morning and you just checked in with yourself? One of my favorite rituals that I do every single day is I walk outside. And right now it's dark when I get up, so I still walk outside and it's dark, but I really love it when the sun is rising and I walk outside and I put my hands over my heart and I say, good morning. How are you? How did you sleep? How do you feel? What's on your heart and what's on your mind? And how do you want to feel today? I give myself the gift of a 2-minute morning check-in. Because if we want to build a relationship with someone else, what do we give them? We give them time. We ask them questions. We learn about them. So if you want to start choosing you and you want to start building a relationship with yourself, give yourself a gift, that gift of a quick morning check-in. It doesn't take 90 minutes in the morning to choose you. It takes just a couple of minutes. But I promise you, if you do this over time, you're going to want to add to it because the feeling that comes with being with and for yourself in that way is such a gift to you, and it's such a gift to everyone and everything in your life that you care about, right? If you are a mom or a wife or a friend and you are cared for, imagine how you show up for others. Imagine how you pour into them when your cup is full. And it doesn't take a lot. You can do it in small doses like that. I'm sure I'll be talking more about the rituals that I lean into because I get asked about them so much. But another one is giving yourself little resets throughout your day. Just pausing and checking in. Set an alarm on your phone every couple hours that says pause. And when it goes off, hit the button to turn it off and then pause and take a moment to check in with yourself. How are you? How are you feeling? What do you need? What do you need most right now? Ask yourself these simple questions and then give yourself the option to give yourself what you need. Right? It's so simple, but we're not taught to choose this. We're not taught to choose ourselves because we're taught that it's selfish. I have my own versions of all of these things, right? Like being selfish could be the most important thing that you choose. Maybe we redefine what that actually means. Being self-centered, get me going on this one, you guys. Like, I don't know that there's anything more important that we could be than self-centered, centered around ourselves. Do you know what that, like when I imagine, and granted society, and we've given it a different definition that makes us wrong for it, and I'm not feeding that definition. But when you imagine a centered self, where you are rooted and you are grounded and you are centered around who you are and what is true for you, and you are in alignment and in integrity with yourself, like I imagine being centered, rooted, then life comes at you. Imagine how much better you're going to be able to handle all of it and how you're going to show up for it if you are centered around yourself. So this message ain't going anywhere, right? I might call it my sweet spot now, but my sweet spot is rooted in the fact that I have decided that choosing me is the most important thing that I can do. That putting myself first is what's best for everyone and everything that I love, because I know it now. I have 6 years of evidence of practicing this. I have 5 years of teaching others the same thing and watching it change their lives. Watching them show up as the moms and the wives and the business owners or the career women or whoever that they want to be, the friends they want to be, the daughters, the sisters that they want to be, because they are actually taking care of themselves. And so that's my challenge for you, is find pockets throughout your day to choose you. Start checking in with yourself. Start spending time with yourself. Start getting to know yourself. Because if you trust that is also best for everyone else, you're going to start experiencing your days in a totally different light. You're going to start noticing your thoughts in a different way. You're going to feel more in charge of your experience because you've actually asked yourself, how are you and what do you need today? How do you want to feel today? It is the gift that keeps on giving. It really, really is. And so as I sign off, I do hope that you will take some time to find ways to choose you. And if you do, I would love, love, love to hear about it. Shoot me a DM wherever you follow me. Message me. Let me know how this is serving you, because this can be the gift that keeps on giving for you and for those you love. It really, really can. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.